What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolf Crier here, and today I'm joined by my good friend Atric, and we are going to be discussing the Season 24 patch notes for Diablo 3. All right, Atric, how you been, man?
Been doing pretty good. Just messing around in some games between different things, trying to sort of find out what I feel like doing right now. But yeah, pretty good.
Same here. I've been playing a lot of 7 Days to Die, a little bit of Valheim. I wrapped up my Path of Exile season a few weeks ago, I think, and just been playing the survival Build-A-Bear type games. 7 Days to Die seems to be very fun for me. Having fun killing zombies, and we'll have to do a video about that someday on how long a game should actually be in alpha. But that's a topic for another day. Today, we are going to be talking about the upcoming Season 24 patch for Diablo 3, and what are your initial overall, overview thoughts on the upcoming season?
For the first time in a long time, I'm actually pretty hyped about this coming season. It is one that I think I will probably stick around longer than the opening weekend to help out with Level with a Cause. I'll
Nice,
probably
nice.
be able to play this one for a few weeks, and honestly, it's entirely because of that Ethereals thing.
Same here. I'm looking forward to the Ethereals thing, but I'm also looking forward to the inner set changes for the monk. I'm a big monk player, as everybody knows. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but let's jump into Ethereal Weapons and how that's going to, affect the game. It's a seasonal item, which is pretty cool. That hasn't happened in Diablo 3. It was a thing back in Diablo 2, way back. So this is kind of a throwback because of the upcoming Diablo 2 Resurrected release. So they're adding ethereals into the game. For those of you who don't know what an ethereal item is in Diablo 2, it was an unrepairable item. It was something that you couldn't repair it. So no matter how good it was, eventually, if you wanted to use it, eventually it would break and you wouldn't have it anymore. And they're adding ethereal items to Diablo 3, albeit a little bit different. These items are going to be class weapon legendaries with legendary powers, randomly rolled, and they will not need to be repaired. They won't break. However, at the end of the season, they cease to exist. You can't take them into non-seasonal, and you can't take them into the next season. So once the season is over, the ethereal items are gone, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool aspect of that loot hunt in Diablo 3. And it seems like it's going to be pretty awesome. They have set, what is there, three for each class? Is that
Yep,
what it is?
three for each class.
It's three unique ethereals per class, and each ethereal has fixed affixes and rolls one random legendary weapon power and one random class passive on it. So that's pretty cool, pretty OP. And I guess they're going to be a bit stronger than normal items that you find, giving you more of a reason to want this on it. But then having that random legendary power, you're going to want to farm
The
these
right
up to
one.
get the right ones that have the right passive you want and the right legendary passive power you want. And yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a very good loot hunt.
Yeah, and I think the
I love
best
that.
call they made on these was making it so that they are drop only. You do not get them from Kadala, you can't get them from the cube. You actually have to engage in the game and do the loot hunt to get them, which is great for a loot hunt game. So, I think it's going to
Agreed.
add something they've needed back in this game for a long time because it's just too easy to get everything you need as it is right now. So
It
being able
is.
to farm like the right one that you want, no, they cannot be traded Draves. They cannot be traded. They cannot be reforged.
They are
They
account
cannot be
bound.
enchanted. What they drop as is what they're going to be. You can't do anything to them. So you might get one of them that you want, Uh, maybe it's got really nice stats on it, and that's the type of weapon you want, but it doesn't have the legendary power that's best for your build, so you just keep farming until you get that weapon again with the legendary power you want. So I think it's going to be really neat. And then having the random class passive as well, just the constant loot hunt to try and get the perfect one that you're looking for. I think it's going to be a lot more rewarding and a lot more enjoyable than just primal hunting
And
because
that's the
primal
thing.
hunting, yeah, it's just okay, it's a perfectly rolled ancient. Thank you, whatever. These weapons are, I think, going to be something really fun to hunt for.
That's the thing with Diablo 3. Opening night, we do the level with a cause charity event and all that. And it's great and it's fun and stuff like that. But I almost always, if not opening night, by the second day, have every piece of gear for my build that I'm going to be running for the season. And to me, that it mitigates what the game is supposed to be, which is, like
Yep.
Diablo 2 was all about finding those items. Finding those items that you want. Yes, trading is a thing in Diablo 2, but it was that loot grind that was really something that drew me into Diablo 2. It wasn't the how high of a greater rift I can go because they didn't exist. It was more the what can I find today that's going to be epic. And unfortunately, Diablo 3 sort of watered that down. And as time progressed, it got even more so with the introduction of the cube and Kadala and the ability to re-roll stats and stuff like that, which is all good for the casual player, and I'm okay with it. But I'm really looking forward to Ethereals and the hunt. That means now you have to play the game, not just farm mats. You know what I mean? Because that's all we were doing was running rifts great to get keys, running greater rifts, and running bounties to get materials to re-roll our gear to try to make it better because we already had our end game gear. It just needed to be better. I already had my full set and every weapon and legendary cubed power by the third day in, tops, ever. During the season for the last like 7 or 8 seasons. It was easy to do. But now this, you have to kill monsters. You have to go kill monsters in order to get the ethereals. And that's something that should be part of the game. And hopefully going into, Diablo 4 and stuff, that is a trend that continues because that's what I love playing these games for. That's why I like playing Path of Exile. Path of Exile, I play Trade League a lot, so I trade for my stuff, but it's still that loot grind of I need to find something that's, worth what I want to buy if I can't find what I want to buy. So, it's still that heavy loot grind in Path of Exile and Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 that I really enjoy in action role playing games. It's that RNG factor that relies on you playing the game. Like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think this is going to do really well for their retention over the season as well. Because let's face it, after you hit 70 and you've done your Hadrig's journey, or you've got Hadrig's gift, you're sitting there. Most people at that point, they've got everything they need. They're just very casually doing rifts here and there,
Sorry.
maybe bounty farming. But the only thing there really is in game right now is trying to push the leaderboard if you want to do that. And if you're not interested in doing that, well, you're given everything the game has opening weekend. So kind of what's the point past that? Uh, I think this gives something to do other than the leaderboard chase, or at least something that you're shooting for while you're doing it, so it doesn't seem like all you're doing is rift fishing and paragon farming as much. because when it comes to the leaderboard, a lot of that ends up coming down to who has the most efficient group to get the most keys to farm rift fish for the perfect rift to get lucky enough that way, and also get those thousands of paragons. When I think most people that play the game probably don't even get to 1,000 paragon by the end of a season. Uh, and they'll still be
Nowadays,
able, yeah, they'll still be able to do this because these weapons don't require you to be level 70 to drop. And I'm also kind of curious, since there is that feat of strength of collecting all 21 of them, i-
wait,
will that affect the leaderboard in any way?
can I jump?
S-
Oh,
What?
it's level 70. All right. I was thinking it was the
No,
GR 70
no,
that's
it's not
required
GR 70.
for
It's not even
primals.
level 70. So
Wow,
you can get them while leveling.
that's cool. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. I was thinking that was the Greater Rift 70 when I was reading it, yesterday. Wow. Sorry
But
for
yes, so
interrupting you.
no, man. So, I mean, even the extreme casual players have a chance to get some of these. And that gives something to possibly motivate them to play even more or even longer because they're like, oh my God, this is something amazing that I've never seen before. So I think it's going to do really well for their retention over the course of this season uh, by putting that loot hunt back into the game that they haven't had in, dear God, forever.
Since Reaper.
Yeah.
Pretty much since Reaper of Souls. With Loot 2.0, everything, you know, they made it rain. And they made it rain to the point where you were drowning in legendaries, at least most of the time. I think these are going to be good. I think these are going to be great as far as, not tradable, not enchantable. You can't change how they look or die or anything. And I'm really thinking that, the collecting all 21
The
Ethereals,
transmogs.
yeah, the transmogs are going to be
Yeah.
pretty cool because once you collect all 21, you have access to the transmogs on both your future seasons and non-seasonal. But you won't have that available to you if you don't collect all 21, I think.
Yeah. And then
Um,
that brings up the interesting thing of how is smart loot affecting these? Because if you think of it from playing your main character, you kind of want smart loot to be effective. It's like, okay, I'm playing a wizard, so I want the three wizard ones. I don't want it to keep throwing crusader crap at me.
yeah.
But at the same time, if the smart loot is applying to these, that means you're probably going to need to play every single class this season to try and get all of them.
Which is
So I mean,
not
it might,
something
yeah,
that a lot
it's
of
not
people do.
exactly, and because you might have to split your time like that. If you're actually trying to get all the transmogs, it might have an effect on the leaderboards a little bit compared to before, because a lot of people they have one or two classes that they run, and they just hardcore smash those classes. Uh, like they'll have like their push and their Paragon farmer. So if they have to go and play things that they're not used to try and farm out the ethereals, it might slow people down, and you might see different people in the top of the leaderboard than you would normally see.
You might also get people more involved in other classes that they don't play. Like if I have to play
Yep.
Witch Doctor this season for the first time ever, pretty much, in order to get those three legendaries, that might be a thing. I mean, yes, I know it's weird that I have 41, 4,200 hours played in Diablo 3 and I've never played Witch Doctor. But I might have to this season, which is pretty awesome. The other thing that I was going to ask is, or rather, a thought that I had is, most likely I'm thinking these transmogs are going to be Diablo 2 related. I really think that, they're probably going to be transmogs from items that are from Diablo 2, like, because
Well,
it would
yeah,
make
they
a lot
will
of
be because
sense.
the items are from Diablo 2.
Right. It would just make a lot of
Yeah.
sense that that with everything that they're working on for Diablo 2 Resurrected, I wonder if this was thought out as they were making it, etc. Because I don't know how much the Diablo 3 team has in terms of resources to be able to make 21 transmogs for one season. Although it is a much smaller change of a season. There's no big theme other than
Yeah.
the ethereal theme. There's no
Yeah, I'll
big
be honest
update.
though, like I would prefer things like this than the big themes like they've been having, where there's some effect that's going all the time, or stacks of something that you build up by killing things. Like I would rather something like this be in there, as opposed to those that are just like an across the board uh, power up for everybody.
I think so
Um,
too. This one and last season with the follower update, these are the type of things that I would like to see more often than those get 50 stacks of this to cause this. You know what I mean? Not that I
yep.
mind those completely. Like, I'd like to see those every now and then. But yeah, I think I'd rather see the focus of the theme being something that changes the game in terms of the future of the game, and something that could, very well either be like this, a limited time event where you can unlock these transmogs, and it makes total sense for you to farm and try to find all of these. So that's cool. Or like a follower theme of last season, where it's something that changes the game forever going forward. Those are the type of things that I really really want to see more of. I mean, I
Yeah,
like the
and
flashy other stuff, but yeah, this stuff
yeah,
is
I
awesome.
also think like aside from just like the future of the game, if they think about the future of the Diablo franchise, these Diablo 3 seasons, like what they're doing right now this season, the seasons would be a good place for them to possibly test ideas that they have for mechanics in Diablo 4 to get a
Yep.
feel of how the Diablo community is going to approach that. Because let's face it, a lot of people from Diablo 3, as soon as Diablo 4 comes out, are going to be playing Diablo 4. So
Hmm.
they have a huge community that they can incorporate some mechanics that they're just not sure about yet, and they want to like get some feedback on during Diablo 3 seasons to test that out and get a feel for it and how they could possibly revamp things to make it more palatable for the player base. So
Yeah.
I
See
think
how
something like
the
that is great for them if they would do that.
Yeah, see how the community responds, whether it's, positive or negative. You've got, I mean, especially with
Just don't
Diablo
look at the
3.
forum posts though, because forum posts are always negative. Just like,
Yeah, no. I mean, it's kind of like Reddit, you know. But yeah, if they use Diablo 3 as like, a chalkboard for Diablo 4 on some things, watered down versions, I'm not saying implement exactly what you were implementing in Diablo 4, but it's a good
yeah,
place to test the waters, if you will, to see whether something's going to work mechanically and work as far as the community goes. That's something that yeah, they could be doing going forward. Now, one thing about that whole thing is ethereal items, and what you just said. Diablo Immortal has legendary items that can roll with multiple different legendary powers on them, and the legendary powers can change in that game, change how skills react. So Diablo Immortal is already going that route where, you can find a legendary item that's really good, but it doesn't have that legendary affix that you're looking for. Instead, it's got the other one that you were kind of hoping, no, I want it to go this route, so I have to wait and find one that has that. So that's something that I hope is carried over into D4, and it's something that I think is going to be really cool in Diablo 3 Season 24 is trying to find those specific, ethereals with the right legendary power and the right passive. It's going to be a good season for sure with those.
Now, here's a quick question for you, Wolf. Given the state of Diablo 3, do you think there's a chance for someone to get an ethereal weapon that has a legendary power and class passive combination on it that would make them consider swapping builds to utilize it? Or do you think it's just too easy to put any build together for that to even matter right now?
Um, the problem is the meta, as far as that goes, is the for casual players who aren't worried about the top 100 on the leaderboard or somebody that wants to try to off push, yes, that'll work. For the top leaderboard pushers, no, they're going to be going with a specific build and they're going to be hunting those items that fit that build, and if not, they're going to be waiting. The top one in each class, mostly it's going to be whatever the meta build. It's very surprising that the top, 5 players are anything but whatever the best build is. Now, Diablo 3 is moving more towards that balance where you have the ability to push solidly with multiple class sets and multiple builds. So it is a possibility for everybody outside of the top 5, where, okay, I'm going to switch to this build just to see what I can do with it. It depends on the items too. How good are the stats? How much more improved over a primal ancient item is this item? Is it worth making that switch? So
Yeah, I
it's
wouldn't expect their stats to be over a primal ancient just because they're going to be more common than a primal ancient.
well,
But I don't know. It's going to be, we'll just have to see on that one. I would
yeah.
expect them to be probably ancient quality, maybe a little bit better than that in terms of their affixes, because I think the real pull of these items is the random legendary power and class passive. But the class passive is kind of a okay, whatever for it.
Well,
It lets
it
you
can
run
come in.
5 instead of 4. If you get the right one, it would matter, but otherwise,
Yeah.
it's kind of a okay, it's there.
I want to say a quick thank you to Ken's Gaming Spot for the raid. Greatly appreciated. What's up,
Hey
Queen?
Ken, how's it going?
Um, Now, yeah, I personally would say that, as a monk player, if I found one that all of a sudden was like, okay, went with Uliana's EP, I might be like, you know what? Maybe we'll save this and we'll do some pushing with Uliana's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, so, but I would still. My problem with Diablo 3 is the meta. That's totally my problem with Diablo 3 is being. If you want the upper echelons of the leaderboard, you have to play a certain build. And I hate that about the leaderboards in general, about greater rifts in general. It's one of the things I hate. I do like the fact that now they have set leaderboards, which is awesome. So that does help alleviate some of that. Um, I
Well, I think the thing with the ethereals, I don't really think they're going to be so uncommon that nobody gets them. And the
no,
fact that they drop at any level, you don't have to be level 70. I think people are going to be seeing ethereals as they level.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, you're definitely gonna. Well, not definitely, but you're probably gonna see one or two on your
because the
road to
yeah,
70.
they've already said that they're not going to be as rare as primals. They're going to be more rare than ancients. The real question is going to be, are they closer to ancients or closer to primals? Because, that's a pretty big gap there.
It's a 10
Uh,
times gap.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to be closer to Ancients just because of the randomness of the legendary power and class passive on it. Uh, but yeah, I think it's worth doing just for it just adds the loot chase in for the season. Yeah, you don't get to keep them, but it gives you something to kind of break up the grind
Hmm.
for while you're key farming or while you're Paragon farming. It gives you something more exciting that can happen during that than, oh, look, I got more Rift keys. Oh, great, I got another couple Paragon. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to about it. So I think it's going to have that. I think it's going to make the season a little bit easier to play than what they, or more palatable to play longer term than they have been in the past. Uh, so I don't think it's going to be too terrible. And if the with smart loot, if it's judged by smart loot, I don't think it'll be too hard to get them all because there's only three per class. So if you run one of every class just to try and farm those, it shouldn't take too long to get them all, I wouldn't think. Now, it's not going to be like the game right now where within 2 weeks you have absolutely everything, even if you're, casual in 2 weeks, you're pretty much done gearing and just looking for those little 1% and 2% upgrades here and there. I think it will take longer to get all of them, but that's kind of the thing is to keep people playing in there.
That's the thing too, is like people like I myself, I'm fully maxed out on my gear, you know. Obviously I can use upgrades and stuff like primals or, you know, better ancients, but I'm full ancient by the time I switch over to another game, which is about 2 to 3 weeks. The season goes on for about 3 to 3.5 months. So, I mean, and yeah, it's going to keep you playing longer. I think that's the idea of this. And as far as ethereals go, I don't we don't know if they're going to drop randomly for your other classes as well when you're on their class, because that is going to be a little bit odd, because yeah, I'm not playing 7 classes in a season. That's not something that I personally do. At max I go 2 classes and that's it, because that just makes things harder to gear for if you're more casual. But I think it's going to be, you know, where most of the time it's going to drop your class, but every now and then you could get one from another class, which is going to be something that you could utilize for that loot hunt. So I don't know how that part's going to play out. We're going to have to wait and see on that, because yeah, I'm sure everybody's got that complaint that I don't want to play 7 classes, or I don't have the, you know, the space for 7 classes. Mainly, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. You don't have stash space to gear and to hold stuff for 7 classes in a season. That's going to be another big problem if you're trying to run seven different classes. So yeah, that part is still up in the air. That we have to wait and see. But we won't know until PTR at least. But PTR is also going to give you a higher drop rate. So we'll have to wait and see on that part. You
Yeah,
want to
if they're dropping like candy in the PTR, there's definitely not going to be an issue though.
yeah. Yeah.
So
You want to jump over to the monk stuff?
sure, the new pet build.
Yes, the new pet build. Um,
I'm
let's
actually
see.
wondering how strong the Mystic Allies are going to be off of this because it's kind of tempting to try it.
Okay, so one of the other things that they've done is change the way Innas works completely. Now, the Innas set was always a set that buffed your damage based on the amount of Mystic Allies you had out. So it was kind of the generic be all do all set for the monk. You know, it could do an exploding palm build. It could do a wave of light or tempest rush build. Damn it. All right. We'll cut that out. But it could do all of those things and be able to be a jack of all trades. But that was also its problem as well as its benefit, because in order for a set that was designed for exploding palm, Uliana's for instance, in order for that to be, you know, truly an Uliana's exploding palm set, it would have to be more powerful than the Innis version. Same with the Raiment of a Thousand Storms set. That would have to be the most powerful generator set in order to be, you know, better than Innis generator builds, which always caused a paradox between the sets as far as Innis goes, because it was such an outlier in terms of, hey, I can do anything, just depends on how much they buff me and how much they nerf them. You know, and now that's gone. Innis is its own thing now, based upon the Mystic Allies. You'll gain the base effect of the Mantras at all times with the 4-piece set still, and you gain a 5% damage reduction for each Mystic Ally you have out, and your Mystic Allies don't take any damage anymore. For the 6-piece now, however, you gain the passive abilities of the 5 runed Mystic Allies at all times, and attacking enemies creates your chosen Mystic Ally that lasts 15 seconds, and you can have up to 10 Mystic Allies. The damage of your Mystic Allies is increased by 950% for each Mystic Ally you have out.
9,500%.
So when you are hitting stuff, you are summoning Mystic Allies that are hitting stuff for you, and that's where your damage is coming from. The Crudest Boots will increase your Mystic Ally damage by 300 to 400% now, and are able to attack with their active forms for longer duration. And Bindings of the Lesser Gods now causes Cyclone to increase their damage instead of just the active ability, which is one thing that hopefully Bindings of the Lesser Gods is going to work, because there was an issue with them previous to this patch, so hopefully that's going to be all sorted out. It wasn't a viable option most of the time for Innis builds. And now they've increased your Mystic Ally, your Fire Mystic Ally, and your Earth Mystic Ally's damage, which is going to be pretty interesting to see which one becomes the go-to build. I'm leaning towards Fire, but I could be entirely wrong. But Fire...
I'm leaning towards Fire as well, again, because of that Bindings of the Lesser God, though. Because split Fire allies gain 5 times the bonus.
Well, that's because Fire allies can't split as much as the other ones, right? Because, oh no, now splits into 2 splits instead of 5, but now all Fire allies can split.
Yeah, and the Fire allies do more base damage, don't they?
No, they do less base damage than the Earth.
480% increase from 480% to 1920%. The Earth ally does, okay, yeah, it does do less damage than the Earth. But they have an AoE attached to them.
Yeah, and I don't know how that's all going to play out, but it's definitely something I want to test, and it's good to see that they are now a pet build.
Maybe Fire ally for clearing, and then Earth ally for Rift Guardian.
It could be. It could be one of those where we're gonna have to wait and see how they behave. One of the big problems that I had with Mystic Allies before in the game is the fact that a lot of times they would stand there and be 2 rooms away. So that's something that needs to be addressed as well. Because sometimes, you know, when you're running Innis Exploding Palm, you would drop your EPs all over the place, and then you'd hit the active for your Mystic Allies and realize that, yeah, they just did their thing in the other room, so it doesn't matter because they're no longer, they didn't follow you. So hopefully the AI for the Mystic Allies is something that's been addressed, because it was a big problem with the set in previous seasons. And now they're your main source of damage. Maybe with the fact that you're hitting stuff and creating them, that they'll always be with you. So that could be a thing
Yeah.
too.
If it removes like the oldest and replaces it with the newest.
Now, if they would add it where, the burning, exploding palm increased their damage, then we could have a burning monk again. And that could be a thing. Tell Diablo, at Diablo on Twitter, make burning monk a thing. But that would be pretty cool to test with the new Innis changes. I'm looking forward to it. Innis is no longer that outlier catch-all set. And now it's got its own identity, which is something that I think it really needed. So I can't wait to jump in and test that. That is the 17th, I believe, that the PTR goes live. So 5 days from now, we'll be jumping in for sure. Now, have you ever even played Monk, Atric?
Yes.
Yes? A lot?
Yeah.
Or...
I've got a couple of level 70 monks that I've done GRs and stuff with.
Nice.
I'd have to log in and actually see how much time I got on them, but I think they're my third most played class.
They are my number one most played class.
Wizard, Witch Doctor being my primaries. Demon Hunter being the one that just sucks. I hate Demon Hunter, and yes, I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that, but I'm sorry, I hate Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter and Satyr are kind of the two I'm like, whatever.
Demon Hunter and Satyr are my two lowest played, outside of Witch Doctor, which has 0 played. Other than that, I have over 2,000 hours on Monk. That's my number one class. Number 2 would be Wizard, although after
With
last
Bazooka
season,
Wizard gone, it's kind of like,
Necro might have taken
oh
over
crap!
as my
I
number
forgot
2.
Necro. Necro might be my. That might push. That might push. Monk down to 4th. Yeah, I was completely forgetting Necro, and I put a lot of time into Necro.
Yeah.
Just proving that Crispin's sentence is not a requirement for that class.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ladies
No,
and
it's
gentlemen,
not.
I am not responsible for any of Atrix's misinformation.
Hey, top
There is
200 leaderboard
no
without it.
necromancer set that or build that does not require Crispin's sentence. Just putting that out there.
Defied without it.
Oh.
No, Witch Doctor is the one I use. Like, I like playing the Witch Doctor more than anything just to see what kind of stupid massacre bonuses I can build.
Yeah, they're very good for that. I wouldn't personally know because I've never played it, but other than that, that is something I gotta do. Maybe this season, maybe I will finally make a Witch Doctor, because it just doesn't make sense to have this much game time and to have not played a class. I've played every class in Path of Exile, but I have not played every class in Diablo 3, and I have pretty much the same amount of playtime. I have more Diablo 3 playtime than PoE. I think it's something like 4,200 to 3,500. I play a lot of video games, I've come to realize, because, yeah, I've racked up tons of hours in those 2 games.
How many hours do you have in 7 Days to Die in the 2 weeks you've been playing it?
Oh, it's gotta be a little bit.
2 weeks worth of hours?
It's gotta be up there. It's gotta be gaining on like 40 or 50 hours played over the last 2 weeks. If not more, which I can't say I'm entirely proud of, but I love that game.
It might point to a problem there. Coffee might not be your only addiction.
That is true. Video games might be my my bigger addiction. But let's wrap things up with Ages of Valor and Masquerade of the Burning Carnival set have been nerfed, ladies and gentlemen. So both of these have been overperforming for the last several seasons, and yeah, they're dropping that down in interest of competitive variety. So yeah, that is something that did need to happen. I love the Masquerade set. It's my favorite set for the Necromancer, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people that are like, don't nerf my build, because you know what, in the interest of balance and the interest of other builds becoming more viable as far as the top of the leaderboards, nerfs have to happen as much as buffs. We can't just keep buffing through the roof. They're going to run out of numbers eventually. I mean, because the amount of buffs that we've gotten over the last, 6 seasons has been off the charts. What if we multiplied our damage by, 18 times the damage at least?
Pretty stupid.
Some of the stuff has been, closer to 50 times.
Yeah, where were we pushing in the first level with a cause in terms of GR? It was 100s you were doing good, right?
Yeah, 102, 103
now it's
at the end of the season.
If you're not doing 130 speeds, you're not playing. What the hell?
Yep. If you're not soloing a 146 3 weeks in,
you're not at rank 100 or better. Yeah.
I remember season 2, it was 65, 70 was top. And that was top group.
Yeah, I remember when 70, it's what? You got to get 70 just to get a primal?
Yeah.
When primals first came out, 70 was not a joke, but since then,
yeah,
70, you're done just by getting your set.
70s are day one. Yeah, do your 20, and once you do your 20, you go do your 70, and you're good to go, and you can get primals. That's the way it's been for the last couple of seasons for me. I've done my 70, if not by the end of the first night, really early the next day.
Yeah, the days when 1 billion damage was a thing.
Yeah, back in those days, 1 billion was just not enough, though. It just wasn't enough.
Well, this is one of the things that I think tells you that your power creep has gotten out of control. When it can't really tell you the number anymore, it just tells you how many thousands of millions it's done.
Yeah.
You may have let power creep get a little too far.
We've done 1,000 trillion damage. So, yeah. Well, they had all those extra T's that they really needed to use. It was in the game, but it never got used, so they needed to find a way to get T to pop up every now and then. And now it gets to pop up with numbers in front of it, so it's not lonely. Yeah, T16 speeds 4 hours into the season is a bit weird for sure. But yeah, we're at that point in the game. So hopefully Ethereals is something that's going to make me play a little bit longer. Because
honestly, even just the fact that the leveling process now through the weekly challenge rift and Kadala and everything is hey, you do weekly challenge rift, gamble on Kadala, do your cube, and then if one person in your group gets the stuff you need, it's hey, let's jack this stuff up into the torments and start going.
Yep.
That's
the way it goes.
That was the original intention.
That's the way it goes. Now because we get that challenge rift in the beginning, it's okay, guys. Let's all roll for this. And then if one person gets this, we can do T6 when we're 20.
Yeah. And go ahead and have someone craft up the weapon, the level 70 weapon, and get the reduced level requirement. That way we only have to do 2 rifts, and then someone pops on that weapon, and we stay at T6.
Now, I've always been slightly slower than everybody as far as leveling during opening day, but I can remember doing, back when I first started to level with a cause in season 11, I can remember it taking 4 to 5 hours, but we would bullshit with the stream and do giveaways and, try to raise money for charity. But now, like last season was like an hour and 40 minutes and I was done. And I'm like, well, wow. That's quite the difference. And I was still talking to chat, doing a charity stream. So it was crazy.
Yeah, so we were talking about like we think that people will be getting ethereals in the leveling process. As short as the leveling process is, maybe they won't.
That's true.
But no, I think this is going to be a fun season just for the loot chase. I mean, even if it's not something you get to keep, I will make an active effort this time to try and get all 21 of them,
Yeah,
just to get the transmogs.
I might.
But it, like I say, it gives me something to break up the feel of the whole. Okay, I'm key farming, I'm key farming, I'm key farming, I'm Paragon farming, and Paragon farming. Because I'll admit, the past, gosh, 3, maybe 4 seasons, I haven't been able to play beyond a week. Because just
I
the
used,
repetitiveness of just grinding for those two things over and over, it it wore on me, and there were other things that I felt like I could spend my time doing that I would get more enjoyment from. But this time, since there's actually some kind of loot chase in it, I feel like it will let me play even longer, and give me something that's going to break up that kind of monotony from the season.
yeah, I usually last about 2 to 3 weeks. Usually I try to drag myself through the last like 4 or 5 days with nobody else playing. And then I usually end up heading over to Path of Exile and making a build over there. But mainly that's because I've put my time into this game. I love Diablo 3, and it might hold the top space for my most played game ever. But we're on
Thanks for the
season
follow.
24. Thank you very much for the follow. We're on season 24, and I've been playing since I came back for season 4. I've played this game since launch. Took a little break right when seasons started. I didn't play the first like 3 seasons. I was playing something else. I forgot what it was. Probably Path of Exile, and League of Legends back then. But then I came back for season 4, and I've been playing every single season start since season 4. And they've progressively gotten to where I play a little bit less every season. But I still love that initial burst. I still love the initial hunt. And hopefully these ethereal items will give me that for longer, like you're saying. Because it's that hunt for the gear that brings me in at the start of a season. Once I have everything is usually when I get bored. And that goes for Path of Exile too. Once I have my headhunter that I grinded out forever for, and did a lot of work in order to get, that's when I run 3 maps and go, I did it, and let's go play something else.
What's a
Because,
headhunter?
yeah, I've had a headhunter the last like 4 leagues, and
God, you're such a meta whore.
but I only run. Now I gotta mute that out. Thanks. This is where in the video? This is like an hour into the video. Oh. But no, I farm up a headhunter every league, and then I run like max 10 maps, and then I'm bored because I did it. Because I did it. I have my build. I have my latest build. I was running that messed up cyclone build there, but it was, yeah, it was. I was doing 45 million DPS pre headhunter. So I'm like, I don't need to play anymore because there's nothing left. So yeah, I moved on to 7 Days to Die, which you can catch
Yeah,
me
this
streaming it later on tonight. We are going to wrap things up here. I'm waiting for my family to get home and gonna chill with them for a little bit, but then I'll be back streaming 7 Days to Die later on tonight. Probably
Be
around
honest, this
9:30.
last PoE season I played more than I normally do, but that's just because like I was really enjoying the blood tentacle totems.
Yeah,
Like it was something different. Not many people like at all were doing it, and it was really strong.
that's
So
something I'd like to see in the future of Diablo 3 if we've got that much time till D4. New skills. One new skill per
for
class.
each class,
But then you got to worry about the game is built
balance.
for sets. The game is built for sets. All the sets have their own identity now and what they buff. So if you add a new skill, then you have to add a new set because there's no way it can survive without a set. So I don't know. I don't think that's a possibility. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Any final thoughts, Atric?
I think this is going to be a good season for Diablo 3, just because adding that loot hunt in, I think is going to increase like player retention for this season more than what it has been in the past. I'm
I
looking
think so
forward to
too.
it myself. And I might actually play a monk this season to test out the pet build.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely be playing Monk. I'll be returning to my roots and checking out the inner set. I will be testing it out on the PTR a little bit. Maybe I'll do a build guide. Ooh, what are those? This guy does build guides? This guy plays Monk?
I would do
Hopefully.
build guides, but no one ever needs to play what I do.
No. No, they don't.
I could do a like build guide based on don't ever do this.
You could. You could. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I always greatly appreciate it. Definitely follow me at twitch.tv/wolfcrier. Follow Atric at twitch.tv/Atric. And thank you once again. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you all have a fantastic day. Peace.
Y'all.